Look at any photo of yourself as a baby. Someone was holding you. Someone fed you in the middle of the night, learned the exact pitch of your cry, carried you from room to room. You were there for every second of it. And you cannot remember a single moment. You learned more in your first 2 years of life than you will in any 2 years that follow. You learned to focus your eyes, to hold up your own head, to recognize the faces of the people who loved you. You learned that objects still exist when they leave the room. You learned, from nothing, the beginnings of language. It was the steepest learning curve a human brain ever climbs, and almost none of it survived. For most of human history, nobody thought this was strange. The missing years were simply the missing years. But here's what's fascinating. Your brain did not fail to record them. The recording happened. The problem is what came next. The blank stretch has a name. Scientists call it infantile amnesia, and it is one of the most reliable facts about the human mind. Across cultures, across the entire planet, almost no one can recall anything from before the age of 3. A few faint scraps survive from 3 to 7. Everything before that is gone. For a long time, the obvious explanation was that a baby's brain is simply too undeveloped to store memories at all. That a newborn is a blank slate, recording nothing until the machinery switches on. It is a tidy idea. It is also wrong. Consider what your infant brain was actually doing. In your first year, you were building somewhere around 1 million new neural connections every single second. Your brain was the most active learning machine on Earth. A baby can remember. Show a 6-month-old a specific mobile above the cot, teach them that kicking makes it spin, and weeks later they still remember the trick. The memory is there. The capacity is there, so the memories were made. The question is why they did not last. But that's only half the story. To understand where they went, you have to look at the part of the brain that files memories away. It is called the hippocampus, and in an adult, it works like a librarian, taking the raw experience of a moment and binding it into a single retrievable file you can pull out years later. In 2014, neuroscientist Paul Frankland, working at the Hospital for Sick Children in Toronto and publishing in the journal Science, found something extraordinary about that librarian in a young brain. The infant hippocampus is not sitting still and filing neatly. It is exploding with new cells. This process is called neurogenesis, the birth of fresh neurons. And in a baby, it runs at a furious rate. And here is the strange part. Franklin's team showed that this flood of new neurons does not strengthen old memories. It overwrites them. Each new cell that wires itself into the network disrupts the delicate circuit that held an earlier memory in place. The very growth that makes a baby learn so fast is the same growth that erases what they just learned. Think about this. Your earliest memories were not too weak to survive. They were destroyed by the speed of your own development. The brain was building so fast that it kept paving over its own foundations. Frankland proved it in the most direct way possible. His team slowed down neurogenesis in young mice, and the young mice kept their memories. Then they artificially sped up neurogenesis in adult mice, brains that normally hold memories for life, and those adult mice began to forget. The forgetting was not about age, it was about the rate of new growth. Speed up the construction and the old rooms collapse. So the first reason you cannot remember being a baby is biological. Your hippocampus was rebuilding itself faster than it could hold a single experience in place. And honestly, what comes next is even stranger, because biology is not the whole answer. There is a second key, and it is one you were handed by the people around you. A memory you can consciously recall is almost always a memory you can put into words. The kind of memory that has a beginning, a middle, an end, a place, a feeling. Researchers call it autobiographical memory, the story of you. And that kind of memory seems to depend on language and on something even more specific. It depends on someone teaching you how to remember. In a long-running study, psychologist Elaine Rees at the University of Otago in New Zealand tracked how parents talk to their toddlers about the past. Some parents are elaborative. They ask the child questions. Where did we go? What did you see? Who was there? They build the memory into a shared story, and Rees found that the children of those parents go on to have earlier and richer first memories, sometimes by a margin of more than a year. You did not just record your childhood, you were taught how to file it, and until someone gave you the language and the shape of a story, the experiences had nowhere stable to live. This is where the human story gets genuinely surprising, because the age of your earliest memory is not fixed, it moves with your culture. Researchers comparing different societies have found a striking pattern. In cultures that place heavy emphasis on the individual and on personal storytelling, like much of the United States, people report first memories from around age 3. In cultures that emphasize the group over the self, the average first memory arrives noticeably later. And among the Maori of New Zealand, a people with one of the richest and most detailed traditions of personal storytelling on Earth, researchers have recorded some of the earliest first memories ever documented, reaching back to before the age of 3. Where your memory begins depends, in part, on whether the people around you treated your young life as a story worth telling. So sit with what this means. For nearly all of human history, your ancestors lived their first years exactly as you did. Held, fed, taught, loved, in a world they would never be able to recall. Those years were not wasted, and they were not empty. They built everything you became. They simply built it underneath the floor of memory, in a place you can never visit. The blank is not a gap in you. It is the cost of how fast you grew and the shape of how you were taught to remember. Which leaves one thing worth carrying with you. If you have a small child in your life right now, understand what is actually happening when you sit with them at the end of the day and ask, "What did we do today?" You are not just passing time. You are handing them the tool that turns a passing moment into a memory they get to keep. You are deciding, in a small way, where their story will be allowed to begin. And the next time you look at that photo of yourself as a baby and feel the strange ache of not remembering, know that nothing was lost on you. Someone was there, building you in a year you will never reach. The least you can do tonight is be that person for someone else.